Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha with Ice Cream Fitness here. Yes, I'm covered up again because it is cold as hell. So there will be no bicep shots and fitted tees, but hold on, let me give you guys one anyways. Alright, I've had at least a dozen requests for people to give my opinion on Flux, and since I wasn't really familiar with this, I had to go look it up. I think some of it is a little over complex and it's overcomplicating something that is pretty simplistic and well understood already. However, I do agree with the basic principle of it. I do think it is founded upon some pretty good concepts for the most part, such as higher volumes of training, higher net energy turnover, and I'm going to break that down just a little bit. For example, the high volumes of training, which you guys know I advocate training 3 to 4 days a week, but I do advocate people building up their conditioning and their stamina. When I get someone who tells me I can't do full body and still train with 90% intensity 2 hours into it and my other lifts stall later in the workout, I tell those people you're out of shape. You don't have any conditioning. That's why you should be able to train for 2 hours doing all of your heavier movements, and then 2 hours into it, you should be able to do a max bench and set a PR. And if you can't, you don't have proper strength conditioning. So that's something you need to work on, and it can take a couple of years to get there. But it's a conditioning issue. It's people are out of shape, and a lot of people who train relatively hard or think they train hard are still out of shape after a few years. And again, I'm referring to conditioning, not your body fat percentage. So I do agree with that, and for me it's not uncommon to do 8 or 10 sets of squats or rows or bench press during a full body session. To me it's just, that's normal training. Yeah, the high volumes of training, high workload training will increase your metabolic rate. It's going to increase your activity level. It's going to require you to eat a lot more calories and a lot more carbs to recover and compensate. And that high carb intake with a high energy turnover is going to drive things like your thyroid up, and it's going to accelerate things like T4 to T3 conversion. It's going to, accordingly, due to metabolic rate, it's going to increase total protein turnover. So yeah, in the long term, that style of training will increase your gains, not just through the conditioning and the workload, but through hormonal responses and total energy turnover. So there is something to this. And it's the same with the conditioning work. If you're doing conditioning work on your off days from your training, and I don't recommend conditioning work on training days, but if you're doing it on your off days and you're doing stuff that's not contradictory to your main training stimulus, you don't want to be doing HIIT training or interval training when you're trying to gain muscle. But you can be doing GPP work, barbell complexes, sled drags, things like that, things that will enhance your capacity as a lifter, while again increasing metabolic rate. You're burning calories doing that, you're boosting metabolic rate, you're getting an afterburn from doing that type of activity. So again, total energy turnover, total need for carbohydrates goes up. And in turn, you have hormonal responses, because if you're consuming far more carbs without it turning to fat because you are burning through it, you're getting more of an insulinogenic response. You're getting more anabolic hormones, again, and you're increasing thyroid output and things, and these things do affect total protein synthesis. So yeah, I do agree with the basic principle behind this. I'm not always sure if I agree with what I've seen on it, the specific recommendations on what to do on different days and things, but the general principle of it is pretty good. I like the idea behind it, and I already incorporate quite a bit of this in my own training and in people I've trained over the years. So overall, I have a pretty positive response to what I've read on the topic so far. But that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you next time.